Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Inner Conquest, the world's greatest modern metaphysics channel. I'm your host, Jacob Edens, and today we are going to be discussing what it means to live inside a created reality. So once you understand, right, a big component of this place is that you're in a body, right? You're in the reality. You are a soul in a body that, if you study out-of-body experiences or near-death experiences, you understand that you have a physical experience outside of this place. So you're somewhat inserted into this place in the same way that you are essentially inserted into a game when you play an Xbox game, which may be an oversimplification for how complex this situation is, but that is the truth, right? If you keep going down the rabbit hole, you figure out you are in a reality that is created, okay? So what does that mean? Well, it means that you can recreate the reality because of who you are, right? You're a player in the game. You're not just some ant in an anthill, right? You are someone who exists outside of this place, right? So if you look at something like Abraham Hicks' Law of Attraction, oftentimes what you'll hear her talk about is that you only bring a small portion of your soul to this place, right? You listen to Neville Goddard. He's like, this is a keyed down reality, right? So this is a smaller, more condensed, more limited version of ultimate reality, meaning that you're in here for an experience. You can tell it's an experience because when somebody passes, they exit the game, right? So what that can do for you, having just that simple contextual understanding can give you the permission you need to essentially detach from fear-based narratives, right? All fear-based narratives and fear-based emotions and emotional states that you chronically carry with you are essentially coming from two places. Number one is you don't remember where your home is. So you don't remember that your home isn't here. You're in a reality where you perceive this to be all of creation, right? You're just a speck in a little planet in a galaxy, and it's random as shit and everything's crazy, right? That will make you mad depressed. It will also stress you out from making you feel small, right? Because what are the laws of creation? What you think you become and what you focus on, you create more of. So if you have a self-concept that you're a small individual soul just being bounced around the world, and you're focusing in that way dominantly a majority of the time, you will create a hell reality where everything is more powerful than you, right? So you can say that's by design, but that's a sequence for another day, right? Understanding the context that you are a soul that inserts itself into a body here is a big deal because you can play it now like a game. You don't have to worry as much about your continuity because your continuity is guaranteed, right? You're gonna die for sure, but you're gonna be you. You can never lose your identity, and you'll be physical as well, right? So if you can get those two things really in your understanding and in your gnosis, and ask yourself the question, is that true? And see if you're guided to different things that will help you understand that for your lexicon and your periphery, then it's a huge advantage in life because you can literally disengage every single fear that is rooted in that unknowing of, well, if I die right now, is it over forever, right? If you can get over that, then you can start to see this place for what it is, which is a created reality that you're in, and you can make it your own, right? In the same way that if you play Mario Kart, you get to play the way you want to play Mario Kart. You get to choose how your car drives and etc. Doesn't mean you get to change every single thing about it, but you have a massive amount of creative control. Whereas if you're playing Mario Kart, and while you're playing Mario Kart, you don't know you're playing Mario Kart, and you're on your 700 Mario Kart lap, and you're like, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. This is terrible. Is this all there is? I hate this, right? That's how you get resistance. That's how you get stress, because you don't know the answers to that after-death question, and you don't have the context of accurately understanding, that you're in a body. Even if the worst thing ever happens to your body, you're good. You still can create your body on what you could call the other side or wherever you want to call it, right? So getting that as a foundational level of understanding permits you to essentially think outside the box, right? Because when people talk about survival mode, right? What people are talking about when they talk about survival mode is essentially based on a chronic fear state. You think about everything that has to do with survival mode. It's essentially about, if I'm worried that this won't be enough, which if you look at anxiety, right? What is the definition of anxiety? Anxiety is the fear that one polarity will permanently rule out the other, meaning that there's life and death. Oh, if I'm dead forever and I'll never come back to life. Oh, if I lose my job, I'll never get as high a paying job. Oh, if I get sick, if I get older, I'll never be as healthy again, right? That one dominant polarity ultimately always winning, right? Which isn't really how this place is, because it's a bipolar reality. It's a dualistic reality. So that can never even happen. So once you disengage that fear, you disengage that anxiety, your emotional state gets chronically better, meaning that you can play life in a way that is much more akin to, like, you just slotted in Call of Duty. You're like, let's give this thing a run. Let's have a great time here, because it's just an experience. And once you come at this place from just an experience, now you start to think more along the lines of selectively creating the experience that you want to have, right? So you get to run your mind the way that you want, right? You get to think as if you are the person you want to be now, because you understand that this place, you are essentially a magnet for people, places, and experiences. And so if you can just get your personal magnetism, right, set up how you want to have it set up, then you can essentially set up a point of attraction that will bring you constantly to things that are of your own design and will, right? So will is the big part. You get to will what you want to happen from a co-creative standpoint in a collective reality with a bunch of other people who get to will what they want. And that's way more fun than worrying all the time, because that stress and that degradation will break down your physical body. And because of the limiting nature of fear-based awareness, it will limit you physically more, even more so than this place has already limited you, which will put you into a degradation spiral, which if you want to have a good experience in a game, you really don't want to go into. You want to have a positively increasing experience, in the same way where if you're playing a game, you want your character to identify a problem or a constraint, and then you want your character to not only solve that problem or constraint, but evolve and overall increase the quality of the entire experience. And then once you have that as your consistent experience, whenever you come into contact with problems and or constraints, now you start to frame them as opportunities for entire reality upgrades. You don't have a fear, because that anxiety, remember, one side permanently winning, one problem permanently putting you out. If you don't have that, now you just have this way where you can go about life where every single thing that in the now moment isn't exactly the way you want it is a catalyst for you to not only solve that, right? So you get the Band-Aid on it, but you get the overall upgrade, because now you have been aware of something that you weren't normally aware of. Like if you go to the gym and you're not as strong as you wanted to be, right? Well, now you get to think as if you are the person that you want to be, meaning that now you get to think as if you are the person who can lift all the weights. And now you're seeing yourself lifting all the weights. You're seeing yourself lifting 500 pounds. You're seeing yourself doing crazy, deadlifts or whatever, right? You decide who you want to be. Now, you would never have organically got to the place where you were thinking of yourself as a version that could lift that type of weight. You were never putting yourself in a mental space of you being extremely strong. Why weren't you doing it? Well, it's because you didn't have that contrast of a limitation and a constraint that you decided to overcome by evolving and creating a new version of yourself. So this place, once you start to unlock that type of thought process, you're like a fucking kid in a candy store, because this place is fucked up, dude. There's so many goddamn problems. So if you have a mindset of fear and anxiety, you're totally fucked. you're going to get fucking steamrolled by this place. It's going to fuck you up, right? So how do you conquer this place? Well, you have to first disengage all fear, everything. Everything that's fear, replace it with limitation, because you're not fear. That's why it feels so fucking bad to have fear or anxiety, because it's like the antithesis of your being, right? Your entire being is built on growth, expansion, conquest, victory, and glory. So when you have that contraction, it's actually the antithesis of who you are. And because it's the antithesis of who you are, you actually feel the discordant resonance of it being unnatural, because it is unnatural. That's why you can become fearless. You can loose yourself of fear. You can also become fearful, but it's the same thing as like getting covered in mud, right? Like you're always gonna go home and take a shower and get rid of the mud. But if you have mud all over you and then you try to go for a job interview, the person's like, get out of here, mud boy, mud girl. So you got to get the mud off first. That allows your awareness to see clearly. When you have fear, it shuts off about 70% of your brain. So you're working at a severely handicapped, limited place that is already limiting the living shit out of you, okay? So what you want to do in order to overcome limitations is first, right? This is a metaphysics channel. You want to decommission all of the fear-based metaphysical internal states within which you are dwelling. And the way that you do that is by understanding that you exist beyond thought and emotion. So if you're ever experiencing a thought or emotion, you're experiencing it. You're not it. So once you understand that, now you can put up a denial or a choice of saying, no, even though I'm feeling this, I don't identify with this. I am this. And you can refocus yourself. Once you have that defensive mechanism against thought and emotion, now you can carve out space for your awareness, and you can put into your awareness what you want. Your catalyst can piggyback that off of what I was talking about, how you evolve yourself based off of the different constraints that you run into. Now you are in a target-rich environment for massive evolution, meaning that every single thought, every single emotion, every single person, place, circumstance, everything that presents itself to you in a discordant, unfavorable way, you train your mind to go, this is good. This is an old byproduct of what I was aware of, what I was thinking, what I was assuming. This is really good, because in life, I need flight gauges. I need to know the beeper before I'm about to hit the ground. I need to know the gas tank before I just lose, all momentum on the highway. I need feedback. So this is really good that my feedback mechanism is working, because if I don't have the feedback, I can't make the adjustments. So once something pops up and it's your ex going, right? You go, okay, this is great. This is what I was thinking and assuming that person to be, is expecting this. I was in a state of consciousness that was a co-creative element that basically pulled this into my life. Good. Now, because I don't have any fear, because I don't have any anxiety, I have high self-worth now. I'm not depreciating myself. I'm appreciating myself in the same way that a bank balance appreciating means more money, not more problems, more money, more parties. So when you appreciate yourself, you have the X come up like this, you go, this is good. I need the flight gauge to check myself. Now I am the version who has a badass relationship with that person if I want that. Or I'm the person who has a badass relationship with a new person that's 100 times better. And now I'm going to affirm that. I'm going to decide what the emotional state of that is. I'm going to see internal visualizations and imaginative acts of that working in my favor. And now in hindsight, I can appreciate the flight gauge giving me the little heads up that I was drifting onto the road in the same way that I drift onto the rumble pad. Now I have an entirely new self-concept to re-edify and revisit that is a massive superior upgrade to me just kind of fearing that this thing isn't going to go well and needing to get out of it, right? It allows you to think and overcome and dominate and grow and become more than you are now. And this environment is so fucking hectic that you can use every single data point of unwanted shit to massively cultivate yourself into a fucking exceptional version of yourself. And reality, as messed up as this, the growth potential here. If you want to treat it like a weight training vest, if you think about it properly, you execute properly, and you understand fourth dimensional thinking of how to think as if you are what you want to be now, I mean, it's like you're fucking a kid in a candy store, because you can also get the upgrades here too, right? It's not just all problems. There's just a target-rich environment for shit to get really good. So if you can hit every single data point, re-engineer your thought process as if you are the version of yourself that has not only overcome that, but exceptionally upgraded their reality, life becomes extremely fun, okay? Because think about it. If you're playing a game, it's got to be fun, or else you're going to stop playing the game. You're not going to want to play it anymore. That's what happens when people die. They go, I don't want to fucking play this game anymore. That's totally fine, right? Totally fine. So you just want to understand, the context of fear. You want to disengage as much of it as possible, and then you want to think correctly as someone who overcomes things and gets massive benefits, not just by getting paid, but you want to understand that everything that shows up that's not wanted is a precursor to you getting paid in a better reality, influx. It means that because this is here now, if you handle it properly with your internal mechanics, you can upgrade multiple dimensions of your life based off of that. Oh, my ex was doing this. No, actually, every single relationship in my life is harmonious. That doesn't affect just your ex. That affects your business relationships, your intimate love life, whatever, right? So you can upgrade on these macro things, which is why when you think, you always go general first, right? Everything's working out well, I'm this, whatever, right? You lay that strong foundation, then you're good to go. So I know you guys enjoyed the video today. Feel free to leave comments in the comment section as, questions or other videos you'd like to see. And additionally, if you'd like to work with me, the link tree is where you can find my protocols. I have two, the Modern Metaphysics protocol, the Spartan 1 protocol. They have PDFs attached to them if you want to look at them. And then on top of that, I got the individual coaching if you want to hang out and talk for an hour. All right. Peace. More important than any of that, go conquer, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.